how's it going, guys? Welcome to the channel. Today I'll be drawing Kyoko Jiro from the My Hero Academia series. Alright guys, so this video is going to be a little different than my usual, where normally I will go through the process of the piece that I'm doing, the one that you see on the screen, or maybe it's just a time lapse with some music. This time I wanted to do a video kind of talking about the channel and a little bit about me. I never got to do one whenever I started the YouTube channel, which wasn't too long ago. So I'm still pretty new at this. I'm still trying to get better. I'm still trying to figure out how to do voiceovers on these videos. I'm trying to do things like scripting ahead of time. At the same time, I don't want to make it seem like I'm just reading everything. I don't want it to be boring for you guys. I'm still figuring out how to video edit as well, try to make it a little interesting, and I hope to get a little bit more ambitious with some of these videos. It's just I have so much time right now, but hopefully I will have more time in the near future where I can try to do a little bit more creative things when it comes to my art videos, my camera angles, and things of that nature. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about myself. My name is Jose Fernandez, and I am an illustrator, comic artist, caricature artist, storyboard artist. There's many different things that I like to do. I don't like to contain myself into just one category. So I started drawing at a very early age, probably around 2 or 3 years old, whenever my grandma gifted me my first drawing tablet. Now, it wasn't as sophisticated as a Wacom or an iPad, but it was really cool. You would basically draw on it with markers, and it would turn on with a backlight, and it just had a super cool effect. I wish I had it now, but who knows where that thing is. Then I got a Super Nintendo, which at first, was nothing but video games, but then my dad actually rented one of my all-time favorite games, Mario Paint, and that was another way of me kind of drawing. And actually it was my first digital drawing I ever did, which is pretty crazy now that I think about it, that my first digital drawings were on a Super Nintendo. So I went kind of from that all the way till like a few years later, where I really got into Dragon Ball Z. That was the show of like my childhood. Like, all my friends were into it, I was into it. It was just, even till now, like, people love Dragon Ball Z. Kids that are in middle school or elementary school are just now getting into it, when I was into that stuff whenever I was their age. And actually, Dragon Ball Z is what got me kind of more serious into drawing. Not in the sense of like, oh, I'm gonna become this professional artist or the best artist in the world or anything like that. It was more like I was really excited about the content and just everything about this show, so I just wanted to draw the characters every single day, and I improved dramatically during that time. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that phase of my life where I was like really into some of those cartoons, and I was just non-stop drawing just whatever I wanted, which in that case was Dragon Ball Z. Are there any shows like that you guys are into, that you just always want to draw or got you into drawing? Yeah, list them down below in the comments. I'm super curious as to what you guys are into and what kind of characters or shows you like to watch. And so after that phase of drawing Dragon Ball Z, I started getting a little bit more serious when it came to my art. I wanted to learn more about anatomy, and I wanted to learn more about perspective, because I saw all these different artists that made these mangas that I loved, and I'm like, man, how can I do stuff like this? And it all came down to like knowing perspective and all these important fundamentals. And so I went to the library and started, my dad would check me out these books on how to draw, and he bought me the How to Draw the Marvel Way, and I just kept up with it. I kept looking for different books. I kept watching videos on YouTube. I mean, all those things were super helpful growing up, and I'm really lucky that I kind of had those things available to me. But that's whenever I kind of like started taking it more serious. And then eventually, whenever I got out of high school, then I went on to the university. I was going to school for illustration, and that's where I learned my fundamentals and everything from like how to shade a figure to perspective and anatomy, and I learned a lot from there. And these are things that you can learn on your own, or watching videos or by books, but I mean, I really needed that discipline. So this is around the same time that I started working at the Downtown Aquarium down here in Houston as a caricature artist, and I learned so much working as a caricature artist. Everything from, you know, how to exaggerate, how to draw the features of the face, and even though, you know, I had to exaggerate on, you know, these pictures or the drawings, I surprisingly learned a lot when it came to the anatomy of the face and expressions and how to draw different kinds of features of the face, since everybody's so different. Not too long after, my wife actually got me into comic books, and she took me to my first comic book convention, and I had a complete blast, especially because I got to meet a lot of artists there and got to see the original art that they had at their table, and it kind of put things in perspective for me that people do this for a living, and you know, it makes sense, you know, it's something that I didn't really think about. I mean, I knew that people drew these things, but I've never met the artist that actually did it, and it kind of seemed like a far-fetched dream. And so this kind of like put things in perspective for me, and that's when I started thinking, wow, maybe I want to do this for a living. And so after that, I pretty much started working really hard and getting better at all the things necessary for a comic book. I started working on my perspective even more. Even though I learned these basics in school, you'd be surprised as to how, like, you definitely need to know your stuff when it comes to things like perspective and anatomy when it comes to comic books, because you're turning the figure. In every panel, you're seeing like a different new angle of the human figure, and you have all these different perspectives, and it really challenges you. And so I started really like grinding away, learning how to do all this at a higher level. I learned more about composition, storytelling. These are things that I was able to apply to different things later on, especially when it came to like storyboarding. You'd be surprised as how similar it is to comic book. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I used all those skills to basically go from one thing to another. Like I said, you know, I did storyboards, comic books, caricatures, and I, of course, since I went to school for illustration, I was able to use some of those skills for illustrations that I did for, you know, different projects, you know, for a commercial or for a Comic-Con or whatever the case is. You know, I've been able to do all these different things because one thing led to another. And this is kind of like my next phase right now. I wanted to do this YouTube thing for a very long time, and I wanted to do videos on how to draw certain things or show the process of my work, because, you know, whenever I grew up and I was looking up these videos on YouTube and all that stuff, like, all those things kept me motivated and they helped a lot. And you know, I know that in the beginning some of these videos that I do are going to be on the rougher side of things, but I really aim to improve, and hopefully some of this stuff will motivate somebody to get, you know, to draw, and maybe I can teach, you know, a few people a thing or two, and that'll be great. My plans for this channel is pretty much to have process stuff. I would like to do some tutorials every now and then. If you guys have anything specific you want to learn, write them down in the comments, and I'll keep them in mind and try to, you know, do what I can. And of course, I'm gonna keep up with the time lapses because, you know, let's say I'm working on commissions or some illustrations that I'm able to show you guys the process for. I'm gonna try my best to record as many of those things so I can show them here and, you know, show you the behind the scenes on some of this stuff. Another thing that I wanted to do is product reviews. I love seeing what other artists are using, the tools, and I like to look up reviews on tablets and things like that, you know, because I'm into a lot of like technology stuff when it comes to my drawing. So I kind of want to do that as well to give you guys kind of information on some of these tools that I'm using, or maybe some tools that I have never used and I'm trying out for the first time and giving you my thoughts on those as well. So this video went on a little longer than expected, so I'm gonna leave it at that for now. But thank you guys so much for watching and for listening to me ramble on. I'm super grateful for everybody who has commented and followed my channel. I really appreciate it. If you're enjoying the content on this channel, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and leave any comments or questions down below. And until next time, guys, peace out.